y'all, it's Heather and I'm so excited because today we are talking about the new Tarte Maneater After Dark Volume 2 palette. I bought this at my local Ulta. I want to do eye swatches, every single shade in the palette on my eyes for you to see so we can see how these colors perform. We are going to do comparisons. I want to show you this palette next to some other palettes I have from Tarte so that you can see if you want to add this to your collection. If you don't, I definitely have some thoughts on this palette. We're gonna do a look with it, a tutorial, and I'm gonna share my final thoughts at the end of the video because there's definitely some pros and cons, but we need to jump into it. Let's get straight into the eye swatches. I've got you zoomed in nice and close so that we can do these eye swatches and laugh swatches together. Since this palette is so large and it's neutral, I thought we would, instead of going like row by row or column by column, we would kind of pair shades that look very similar in the pan and do them like side by side on the eyes so we can kind of see how that looks. I am going to be using eye primers when I do these eye swatches, and I'm going to try to use a shade that is very similar to my skin tone, maybe a little bit lighter. And I thought we would test the matte kind of cream colors next to each other first. So I have the shade Enamored and Feline myself. Those are super cute names, but let's swatch them on my hand first. Let's put Enamored right there. Okay, and then what did I say? Feline myself, I'll put right there. A little chalky, but this isn't how I wear my eyeshadow, like swatched out on my hand all the time. I wear it on my eyes. So let me prime and we're gonna try these two shades on. I have my eyeshadow primer down and I'm gonna put on the shade Feline myself. I think that's such a cute name. I love a good play on words. I'm just pressing this on with my BK Beauty brush. I used an eyeshadow primer that's very similar to my skin tone, but I'm not seeing a lot, but it is a light shade, so let me pick up a little more and see if we can pack it. Okay, if I go and I press, I'm definitely getting like some fallout, but it's not quite as pigmented as I wish, but it could be nice for blending. I'll definitely find out when I play with it more in that way, but yeah, not super pigmented. Tarte describes this shade as a matte vanilla. Now I'm gonna do the shade Enamored and I'm going to press so I can see that pigment so that you can see that pigment. This is described as a matte cream color. So a little bit lighter, a little bit more towards the white end of the spectrum, and not as warm as our shade over here. So here we have both of those shades. Similar, but not the same. If you've never been here for any of my eye swatch videos, just know that things start to get messy because I'm putting on eyeshadow primer, I'm taking it off, I'm putting on primer, I'm taking it off, shadow, and it gets messy, especially right out here from taking it off and all of that. I start to get fallout because I'm not trying to be perfect here. I want to show you the shades on the eyes, so just ignore the bit of messiness you see. We'll do this shade and this shade next to each other. Playful is described as a soft gold shimmer, and then we have the shade Charming. This is described as a pearl glitter, and that looks like a cool topper-esque type of formula. I'll put Playful right here, and now I will go in with a brush and I'll kind of disperse that. I really want you to be able to see the sparkle because that's really cute. My face is looking shiny. I've been out at the pool this morning. So I just put on like a skin tint and some bronzer and brow powder, nothing major, but I am really looking glowy. It is very hot today too, but this shadow is so cute. I'll put the shade Charming right here. This, I got really messy with this, okay? I did. I normally would apply this with my finger, although that's not my preferred way because it can just be a little hard for me to like be precise, but I would normally like pick this up on my brush, spray my brush with setting spray, but I used a fluffy brush and my fingers, and it is what it is. It's a little messy. I feel like you can really see the kind of sparkle glitter there, but it's not like a pressed glitter. It's super duper cute. You can see the difference in the two formulas for sure. Both pretty though. Shadows are removed, as are reprimed, and we are going to swatch the shade Lust and the shade Mischievous. These two look like they could be similar. I can see one of them is deeper, but for comparison's sake, we're going to swatch them together. Okay, this is the shade Lust. It's described as a matte beige, and I'm really not getting the best hand swatches with these, which is surprising. I'm going to see if I can build that up just a little bit, because the other Maneater palettes I really enjoyed. Mischievous is described as a matte tan. You can see that one right there. And yeah, let's try it on the eyes. Let's put the shade Lust right there. Usually if there's a lot of kick up in the pan or something like that when I pick up shadow, it doesn't bother me. But these just feel extra powdery. I know this is only the third matte that I'm swatching on my eyes so far. And I mean, I'm not having like a hard time like putting it down and the pigment sticking and not blending. So like I said, the true test for me will be when I go to create an eye look, how everything works together. Let's go in with the shade Mischievous over here on this eye. This one is definitely deeper than the other one. Just, I say definitely. To me, definitely. Okay, because I love makeup. I'm constantly trying things. I love seeing subtle differences, but it is subtly deeper. Now we'll do this shade and this shade, these two right here together. Passion is described as a matte cinnamon. Alluring is a matte chestnut. I can definitely see the differences in those tones, and both of these swatched really nicely, so I'm excited to try them on my eyes. I'll put the shade Alluring right here, and we'll see how this one looks. I got a little carried away. You can see, I was looking at something on my phone because I have YouTube playing, of course, and I accidentally like really brought that shadow out, which is fine, except I'm doing eye swatches and I need to be removing this, but that shade looks nice. Okay, I cleaned my brush off so we can go in with that other shade. Here we have the shade Passion. So you can see both of those shades, Alluring and Passion. It's a new day. I am spreading the eye swatches out over 3 days because I do not want to not have any eyelids anymore, you know? So I am back with a new day and we'll eye swatch. We have 2 more shades on the top row, so we'll swatch that next to each other. That's this shade right here and then this shade. I really like how some of these shimmers and metallics have the embossing in the pan, like a leopard or cheetah print. Like, that's really cute. I don't know if I pointed that out earlier. I know you saw the palette close up, but I think that's a cute detail. Sensual is described as a metallic golden bronze, and that's beautiful. I think Tarte makes really pretty metallic shadows. Insatiable is a warm brown satin. I think satin shadows are so underrated. If you have my collaboration palette with Unearthly Cosmetics, I included a satin shadow because I think they can just be so pretty. Like, you see, this is not intense like the metallic shade over here, right? It's a little softer, it's a little smoother, but you still get some reflect, and it can be really easy to blend a good satin shadow. So let's try these two on the eyes. Here is the shade Sensual. Oh, is that pretty? Yeah, that's so pretty. Like, that's so shiny and metallic. Yeah, I'm here for that. I'll put the shade Insatiable right here. Oh, that's so cute. That's a really cute color. Okay, I like these two. That's really pretty. Oh, I love shine. I love sport. Like, I really like these. This just makes me happy. I thought it would be nice to swatch this shade right here, Sundown, next to Temptress. They don't look the same, but they're in the same color family depth level. you get me. Sundown is a metallic rosy copper, and that is definitely metallic. Like, that is so smooth the way it swatches, and then I can just like spread so easily. Okay, I like that. Temptress is a metallic copper, and that is like a true copper shade, whereas that you can definitely see the more rosy tone. Oh, look at how smooth. That's so pretty. Here is the shade Sundown. Very, very pretty. And I will put Temptress right over here. Oh, that's so cute. You can see the different tones. Oh, I really like the shine. Listen, it's doing it for me. Back and ready for more eye swatches. I am going to be swatching some shimmer shades. We have a couple on this second row that we have not swatched yet. So we will do Heartbreaker right here next to Heated. Heartbreaker is described as a metallic golden peach, and I see that. This is a really, really pretty shade though. Like, do you see the reflect and just how it's catching the light? Heated is a metallic rose gold, and these two are so pretty. This one definitely peachy, this one definitely rose gold. Like, oh, but they're so beautiful. This shade though, this peachy shade, I'm ready. Let's put Heartbreaker right here. That is really a really pretty shade. I can definitely see the reflex, like I can see that shine, and I really like this color. I think peachy shades are just warm and beautiful. Let's put Heated right here. Oh, cute. That is a beautiful rose gold. Here are these two shades side by side. Both of them are so pretty. Oh, I just love sparkle. Next, we'll swatch the shades Fantasy and Intense. Fantasy is described as a matte, soft lilac, and it's very cool toned, very like gray lilac. Intense is described as a matte caramel or caramel. You pick. Listen, you pick. Do you see that? It's very light. The mattes are not swatching the best, but the shimmers and metallics are. But a matte also doesn't swatch as much or as far as a shimmer does normally anyways. So again, I'm more concerned with how mattes blend and buff and layer and all of that. I'm gonna put that Fantasy color right here on my lid. I'm using a brush from my favorite set with Sigma. Here is Fantasy all over my lid. I just kind of pressed it on and then lightly buffed the edges like that. We will put the shade Intense right here, which is an interesting name for a very mid-tone brown color, right? Like, in naming the shades, Intense was given to this shade. To me, this looks like a caramel or caramel with a little bit of like a peachy tone to it. Let's do the shade Nightfall and Animal Instinct. Nightfall is a matte cranberry with floating glitter, according to Tarte. So I'm gonna put that there. Okay, can you see? That's pretty. That's really pretty. Like, that has really nice pigment. It's one of those formulas that's matte with the sparkle to it. Usually if you buff and blend this type of shadow, the sparkle will kind of go away. You can pack it on to keep a little bit of the sparkle there, but these shades for me are usually blendable and easy to work with. Animal Instinct is a smoky plum satin. I like satins. I think they can be blendable, very beautiful. So let's get these on the eyes. Let's put that satin Animal Instinct right on my lid here, so you could see. Cute. That's a cute color. I like that shade. Yeah, that's cute. I am gonna put on the shade Nightfall. I'm gonna start by pressing it off of my brush. I'm using kind of a tapered, pointy blending brush from Singe. I'm just gonna build that shadow up a little bit. But that is a pretty color. Yeah, that's really cute. These two together would be really cute for a look too. Next, we're gonna swatch the shade Hot in Here and Moody. Hot in Here is described as a mauve shimmer, and that's beautiful. Like, it blended like butter on toast on a croissant. Like, butter, okay? Warm melted butter. Moody is described as a rich brown satin. That is very pretty. That is a brown. It has a very purpley undertone to it, you know, like, you could definitely get this to look purpley if you use it with the more purpley or mauvey mattes. Let's put the shade Hot in Here on this. I think that's a really pretty color. That's cute. My eyes are starting to get irritated with me, but that is a cute color. Let's put Moody right there so that you can see that satiny color. That's deep, dark. That's cute. Look, I'm not worried about blending. That's not what the eye swatches are all about, especially for shimmers and things like that. But you can see that pigment and shine. So pretty. Let's do the two mattes down here at the bottom, On the Prowl and Nocturnal. On the Prowl is described as a matte brown. Yes, it is. Nocturnal is described as a matte deep brown. And yes, it is. And I will say, that is a dark shade, and it's still swatched beautifully. I'm gonna put the shade On the Prowl right here. I'm just going to kind of press and blend this shade. That has more pigment than I would have expected. And look how nicely that went on, and like not having any trouble blending. Like, that's looking great. That's really looking great. And here I'm gonna put the shade Nocturnal. So this would be our deepest shade in the palette in terms of mattes. I'm not gonna spend any more time blending. I feel like I can see that these are going to blend and that they're working nicely. So these are the two deepest mattes in the palette. So keep that in mind if you are someone who likes darker shadows. This is the two deep shades that you have to work with. All of the others are significantly lighter. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. I spread these eye swatches out over several days so that my eyelids will still have some skin left once I'm done with this video. You know, I know you understand, but I want to eye swatch a couple more of our matte shades. We will do these two right here. Wild at Heart. This is described as a matte rose blended in. That's what it looks like. Desire is described as a matte rose wood. So different shades, of course, different depth levels, but they're both in that pinky mauvey rosy tone. I'm putting Desire right here. Again, I'm using an eyeshadow base that is similar in depth to my skin tone. And here is the shade Wild at Heart. So you can see these two shades, definitely a lighter and a deeper shade. This one a little more neutral on me. This one definitely more mauvey rose toned. Now that you have seen all of the eye swatches, I'm glad they are over. The skin on my eyelid is so happy those are done. I hope they were helpful. I want to get into some comparisons. I want to start by comparing it to the Maneater After Dark Volume 1, but this is where I'm going to voice a complaint, okay? Both palettes just say Tarte Maneater on the front. They do not say After Dark Volume 1, Volume 2. To do that, you just have a sticker printed on the back of this packaging. And I have a video on Volume 1. I talked about in that video how I think the packaging looks like a laptop. It's sleek, it's cute, but there's something about it that just makes me think of laptop, but I like the packaging. What I don't like is that it seems like Tarte just used the same packaging. Like, I really don't like that. I don't know why they didn't make this like a different color. Like, maybe they could have done the new one a dark brown or something like that. I don't know. It just feels very uninspired and like they didn't want to invest in new packaging to me. I don't know why that is. That could be a minor complaint to you, but if you were like me and you have both of these, you put them in your collection, you're gonna have to flip over, look at the sticker on the back. I don't know. Not my favorite, but let's talk about the inside. I won't spend too much time on it because Maneater Volume 1 has been discontinued. At least I can't find it anywhere online. I do prefer Volume 1 myself, just personal preference. It does have the beautiful neutral shades. I feel like it kind of gives us the best of both worlds, like neutrals with some pops of color, but color that is neutral leaning, like the green and the orange and the yellow. I like the original better, more than Volume 2. If you looked at Volume 1 and you're like, no, there's too many like colorful shades, maybe you feel that way with the orange and the green and the yellow and some more of the pinky shades, Volume 2 could definitely be for you though. I will link everything I can. I will link this Tarte palette. I will link it at Tarte. I will link it at Ulta. I will link all of the palettes that I'm going to show you, the brushes, everything. Everything is going to be in the description box. I also wanted to show you this compared to Maneater Nightfall. This one is also really cool, and this one does what I said they should have done with this new palette. It's the same packaging, but it is like this purple plum color, and I think they could have switched up the color for the new palette. That's all I'm saying, okay? So Maneater Nightfall, again, I have a full video on this one. I believe it is discontinued, but this was definitely more color for Tarte. I like that this one had more of the cool colors, whereas the Maneater After Dark Volume 1 had more of those warmer shades, the kind of warmer forest green, the yellow, the orange. This one we do still have some orange, and we still have some warmth in our neutral shades, but we have these kind of like teal blue shades, so you get a little bit of like cool tone color. I thought this was a cool palette, so I wanted to show you comparisons of that. Again, I know it's not available, but if you're like me and you have a ton of eyeshadow palettes, you love eyeshadow, you've been using shadows and Tarte for years, I thought you might have this, and maybe this kind of side-by-side view would be helpful. Now let's compare it to the Reflections palette. This palette launched around this time last year, and this one, I actually found this in stock online still, and I will link my video on this palette for you. I really like this palette. I know I talked so much about how I was loving this palette and enjoying it. I thought the format of this palette, even though it's a large palette, they just did really good. There were some beautiful shades in here. I really liked that we had neutral shades. We had these beautiful purple tones. We had some gray and some coolness. We had some warmth and true neutral. So you really kind of had a variety. I think they had some really beautiful formulas in here. And like I said, this one is still in stock. So we'll of course link it, and I'll link the video and everything. I just thought this was a really nice palette from the brand. The packaging is cute. It's like shiny, reflective, this kind of like rose gold color. I think the shades inside are beautiful, and I'm pretty sure this was celebrating Tarte's 25th birthday. I'm looking, there's 25s embossed on the pan, and I'm trying to remember, and I believe that's right. Like this was their birthday palette launch. I just think this was a really good one. Really, really pretty. Also want to show you this next to the golden era holiday set. This is still in stock. I filmed this online too. I'm surprised because I think these are such great palettes, and I'm pretty sure that they sold out at Sephora this holiday season relatively quickly, but I want to go ahead and compare them so that it will be helpful to you. The three palettes, super cute. I know like sets like this a lot of times are meant to be very giftable. You can break them apart. You can give the three palettes to three different friends, but I bought it for me. You know, like each of the three palettes were a gift to me, myself, and I liked this set. I thought it was really pretty. They had the colorful palette, the pinky purples, you know, color that I think people who don't even love color feel comfortable with those types of shades. They gave us the warm browns, and they gave us the cool tone browns. I thought those were great. I wanted you to see this next to the nude palette. Not that any of the comparisons I'm showing you are dupes. I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, look, it's the exact same, but I want to help you. I want to help you. I want to use the products that I have in my stash to show you comparisons so that if you are trying to decide if you should buy it, hopefully I can help you just by showing these side by side, talking about my thought process, giving you a little mini review. Last but not least, I want to compare it to the Tarte and Aspen Ovard palette. This is a palette that I bought last year. I got it during the like restock relaunch. I did not have the original, so mine is the 2024 version. And I definitely don't think these are dupes or the same, anything like that. But since the Aspen Ovard palette does have neutral shades, I wanted to show you these two side by side as well, because I do think The Aspen Ovard palette is really beautiful. I think the packaging is really beautiful, but I definitely don't think it's a palette that's going to be for everyone and all skin tones, of course. So if you have that one, I wanted to show you those two side by side. Again, I'm just trying to be super helpful. I think that all of the palettes that I've shown you comparisons of are great. I really enjoy them. I think they're super pretty and I love playing with them. Now that I've shown you all the comparisons, we are going to get into the tutorial. I primed my eyes with my Milk Cosmetics eyeshadow base. I'm using the shade Vanilla just to give myself a nice base for shadow. I have oily eyelids, I have deep set eyes, I need an eyeshadow primer no matter what brand, what palette. Listen, I'm always wearing an eyeshadow primer, and we are going to come over to our palette. I'm like, what do I want to do today? What do I want to do today? I think I'm going to start with a little bit of the shade Alluring right here. And then maybe we'll use a little bit of the shade On the Prowl. I'm going to start by just putting that Alluring shade right in my socket. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just looking at the shades right now, getting a feel, seeing how this goes, buffing and blending back and forth. Now I'm going to deepen up my outer corner by putting that darker shade on the prowl on my lid right there in the outer corner, bringing it kind of up and out, and then I'll take it right out here and kind of connect it to the lower lash line and just kind of messily blend. This is a look I like to do, like a matte in the crease socket. I have lots of creases, okay? I'm 37, so I have lots of creases. I like to say like socket. That's more descriptive, but I like to do something deeper in the outer corner and matte. I like to do shimmers on the lid and inner corner. I like doing looks that I know I like when I'm testing a new palette so that I can kind of see how things are going. Like it's an eye shape, it's a shadow technique or shadow placement that I like, so I can really just judge the shadows. I'm gonna use a fluffy brush and just pick up a little bit of this shade right here called Passion. I'm just gonna use this to buff and blend, make sure I don't have any harsh lines. I think this is looking really soft and pretty. I think everything is blending well. I'm not having any trouble. I want to go into Insatiable. I'm going to pick this up on my brush and then I'm going to spray my brush with a little setting spray to help with the intensity. You could definitely use your finger if you want to. I just prefer brushes. I feel like I have a little bit more control. So spraying my brush with the setting spray helps me to kind of minimize fallout and get the effect that I would if I used my finger. I want to go ahead and put a dark brown liner in my lower waterline. So I'm going to use my Wonder Skin liner. I love this liner. It stays in place. It doesn't move. Like, it wears so well, even in like allergy season, you know? So I'm just going to put this in my waterline, give myself some color, and then we'll go in with shadow. I'm going to use a little bit of the shade Nocturnal. I want to use this to kind of smudge in the liner on the lower lash line. I think this is going to be really pretty. It's not a necessary step, but it does kind of just make things look a little more like smoky and blended, and I'm very much into that. So I'm just going to run this brush back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, kind of blending in that liner, getting that color there, really working to kind of define my lash line. Yeah, I think that's really pretty. It just kind of like softened things up, you know, like it's a little extra step, but we're here for the extra steps, you know, more is more, why not? We're gonna use this shade right here, Charming. This is the only shade in the palette in this formula, this what Tarte is calling Floating Glitter, and I wish there were more of this in the palette. I do think this is different for Tarte, like it's something that I think is fun in the palette, and that is a critique I have, like, why just this one shade? I really would have liked more like this. I'm happy we have this one, but I hope we see more like this because I do think, like I said, something different. And I'm not going to spray my brush, and I'm using this like larger brush because I kind of just want to tap this over where we put our lid shade and just let this be very topper, giving that kind of floating glitter a space in a home over top of that. Like, you can see from eye to eye that it just gives it a little something extra. I definitely got some fallout doing it that way, like using that larger brush, pressing it on, not spraying my brush, not using my finger, but my face is already set, so I'm just gonna wipe it away. It's not a big deal. I'll do that at the end of the look, but I want to highlight the inner corner. So I want to go into the shade where Heated. Such a big palette, and I want to keep y'all nice and zoomed in so you can see what's going on my eyes. Just kind of pressing it right there, and then I will kind of lightly buff it to blend it, and I will finish up this look using mascara and liner. And here is my finished look. I'm super pleased with it. I think it's very soft, it's very pretty, it was very easy, but I also think it's a little glam. I have a lot of things to do today, so this is gonna be my glam for the rest of the day, and I am feeling it. I will link the other products on my face that I'm wearing in the description box and a pinned comment, and I will tag YouTube shopping as much as possible, like my lip, my blush, my highlight, things like that. But this palette, I like this palette. I think this is nice. I do wish that the packaging had been changed out, just a different color. I like the format. I think it's consistent across these Maneater larger palettes. Just, if they would have changed this to like a brown, I think that would have been just, it would have been something extra. You know, I think the color story is pretty. It does have a lot of light shades. I mean, half of this palette is light, like not even mid-tone, just light. So if you are not super into light shades, you could definitely pass on this one and check out maybe some of the other ones that I showed you if you want to get into Tarte shadows. And then the other half of the palette is mid-tone with just a few darker shades. So there's not a lot in terms of depth in this palette. I mean, I do feel like there's enough. It's a well-rounded palette in terms of that. Like, we do have light shimmers and dark shimmers, light mattes and deep mattes. For me to have this be my perfect palette, I would want those pops of color that we got in the other Maneater palettes like this. I think it would have been really fun to add like a true purple. That would have made this a little more versatile, or like a true burgundy. Something like that I think would have just made it a little bit more, but I don't blame Tarte for doing just full-on neutral. I think that's definitely catering to their customer. And like I showed you some of the other palettes, they do have those pops of color. So maybe this time they felt like, you know what, doing a little bit of a mauve-y tone, a little bit of a rosy tones, that will be enough for this one. I get it. I think this is pretty. I really like the looks I created. I feel great about wearing this the rest of my day. I hope whatever you're doing, you're having an amazing day, and I hope you will subscribe. I love doing makeup videos. I love doing eye swatch videos. I love reviewing new makeup. I'm gonna pop up some videos here that I think you'll really enjoy. Stick around and let's talk makeup down in the comments.